and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Well, isn't that a rustic scene behind our friend Gail? Nice to see you. It is Wednesday. Today is it's happening again. It's happening. This is really getting weird now. It's already the 3rd of August.
It is.
Yikes! 2022, and I am your guy, Glen Henderson, here inside the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. It's good to see you. So nice to have you with us, as we say. Right off the bat, let's just get the housekeeping out of the way. It's getting busier around here. For example, this evening, well, right after the hospitality suite, and later on this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, guess what? We are back in black with the networking magic. Yours truly going to be here. And so we'll get together again and talk about building your business and your life through the power of relationships. We're doing a bunch of stuff on that. Hey, nice to see you, Lindsay, the money mama, never misses a networking magic. I love it. Lynn is here. Good to see you, Gail, and Kat and her cat.
Hey,
Hey, hey. And Daisy, as always, listening in as she works for the man, for the time being, anyway. And Ingrid in her fabulous violin. Lovely to see. There you are.
I'll only be 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but I wanted to come on.
That is quite all right. In fact, this may be a slightly shorter call for yours truly as well, because as I was mentioning, I have an appointment immediately following. Lynn was asking me, so where are you, Glenn? That looks like a really cool place. Well, I'm currently at one of the leading country and western pubs in the state of Texas. Certainly in the city of Houston. This is Moe's Place in Katy, Texas. I'm here because I have an appointment just a few minutes after our call, and it's just a couple of miles from here. It's actually much closer for me to get from Moe's to my appointment than from home. So I thought I'd stop by here and
so all roads lead to Moe's.
All roads lead to Moe's while I sip on my club soda. It's a little cranberry. Cranberry juice, nice, very, very nice. So, how's everybody doing? Having a good week? Busy, getting stuff done this week. I'm glad to hear it. That's fantastic stuff. I'll tell you, it's been quite an eventful week for me, though not in the way that some might think. We shall explain this momentarily. First, I feel compelled to say a word about passings. A word about passings. The passing specifically this week about the passing of a giant, as you all might have expected. It seems that when these things happen, they happen in threes. You ever heard that old saying, bad things happen in threes, bad news comes in threes? Well, just within the past few days, we have, at least here in our American, on our American front, we have lost 3 giants this week, 2 from the world of sports and 1 more. One of the people that passed away, in fact, just the day before yesterday, was a man named Vin Scully. He passed at the age of 94, and Vin Scully was the voice of the Los Angeles baseball Dodgers for, you ready for this? 67 years. For 67 years, Dodgers fans around the world had the privilege of being regaled with stories and poetry and the ebb and flow of the beautiful game of baseball from the mellow, mellifluous tones of Mr. Vin Scully, who just passed at the age of 94. And I know Daisy can relate to that, being out there on the West Coast. What a wonderful broadcaster, the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest sports broadcaster who's ever lived. A wonderful, classy gentleman, and a true icon of American sports. He will be missed and well remembered by his family and friends. We also lost a basketball champion, in my opinion, the greatest champion, the greatest winner in the history of professional team sports, one Bill Russell, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 88. To give you a little perspective on this, everybody's heard of Michael Jordan, right? Great basketball player, legendary, one of the all-time greats. Michael Jordan won 6 NBA professional basketball championships during his career. 3 over here, and then a few years away, he was playing baseball and doing other stuff and whatever. Came back and won 3 more championships. Bill Russell, as a player and player coach with the Boston Celtics, led his teams to 11 championships in only 13 years. Can you imagine? 11 championships in 13 years as a player, and notably as the first black head coach in the history of professional sports in the U.S. He was the head coach, the player coach for the Boston Celtics, went on to coach the Sacramento Kings, and not only that, not only was Bill Russell, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time. Sorry, Jordan fans, sorry, LeBron fans, 11 championships tips the scale for me. Not only was Bill Russell one of the greatest winner in the history of professional team sports, he was also a fearless civil rights advocate and a tireless champion of equal rights here in the U.S. He marched with Dr. King. He stood toe-to-toe with the Klan. He absorbed and endured hatreds and racist abuse that you and I and people of our age cannot possibly imagine. And he emerged with his dignity intact and his head held high, and he was an inspiration to people of all races and all backgrounds all over the world. So, rest in peace, Vin Scully, and rest in peace, Bill Russell. But you probably know where my major attention is going to go here. On Monday, we also lost Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols was the actress who played Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek television series and in 6 Star Trek films. You know, she had quite an interesting career before she ever came to Star Trek. She was an actress and model on the stage and on screen. And when she was cast in the role of Nyota Uhura, Uhura, by the way, is a derivation from a Swahili word meaning freedom. A lot of people didn't know that. So Nichelle Nichols was cast as Lieutenant Nyota Uhura in Star Trek. She played that role with distinction, performed that role with distinction during the first season of the show. And after the first season, she wanted to move on, quit and move on to do other things, because she didn't want to be typecast or, just all I can do is sci-fi stuff, that sort of thing. And I one can respect that. Actors want to diversify and branch out with their talents. Then she had a phone call. She had a phone call with a gentleman to whom she confided that she was planning to leave the show. And he said, no, Nichelle, you can't leave the show. You can't quit. What do you mean I can't quit? No, don't you realize you have inspired, you have become an inspiration, you've become an icon to young girls and young people all over the world. Young black girls look up to you. Young women want to go into the sciences and into careers in science and technology because of you. That's never happened before. No, you have to stay. You're an inspiration. So she stayed. 2 more seasons of the original series films, and then became so well known and so well beloved among Star Trek fans and fans of science fiction and entertainment the world over, became the global icon that she came to be in her life. Oh, by the way, the man that she had the phone call with, who told her that she couldn't quit Star Trek, Martin Luther King. I have met William Shatner, Captain Kirk. I have met George Takei, Sulu, Lieutenant, then Captain Hikaru Sulu. I have met Walter Koenig, Ensign, then Commander Pavel Chekhov from the original series. One regret that I have is that I never had the opportunity to meet Nichelle Nichols. Paula and I have been to 2 Star Trek conventions. At the first convention, Nichelle was there. She was present. However, she was in very frail health at that time, and to the point where she wasn't even signing autographs. And the line, the queue for just a photo opportunity with her stretched literally out the building, across the exhibit hall and out the building. And I decided that I was not going to be part of placing a burden like that on her, placing an additional burden like that on her, given her health. She was not able to attend the convention in Chicago, the second convention that Paula and I attended. And so, regretfully, I never had the opportunity to meet her. But like many, many Star Trek fans, I felt that in a way, I knew a little something about her. She was also a tireless champion of civil rights and of equal opportunity for all people. And so, George Takei wrote something. If you can give me a moment so maybe I can find it. George Takei wrote something absolutely wonderful concerning Nichelle's passing. Let me see if I can find it right quick. I'm sort of good at finding stuff like this online quickly. Let's see now. Let's go back. George Takei, he said, much has been said about what a trailblazer and role model Nichelle was for so many young black women who saw in her hope and promise for their own future. I wanted to take a moment to share some stories about Nichelle that aren't as well known, and which highlight her lively spirit, her incredible kindness, and her warm generosity. It's interesting. George says, when my husband Brad and I got married, we asked Walter Koenig, who played Ensign Chekhov on the show, to be best man at our wedding. We asked Nichelle to be our matron of honor. In her characteristic fashion, Nichelle declared, "I am not a matron. If Walter can be best man, why can't I be best lady?" So she had that kind of impish sense of humor as well. And now her spirit lives among the stars. Rest in peace, Nichelle. So there you have that. And now quickly to the topic I wanted to discuss with us today, and that is the realization that you can do what you do. You can present your offer, you can ask for the sale, and you can get told no, and, well, I'll get to it. We had a very eventful week around our smoker pit company. because we had the opportunity to give a presentation to present our products and our offer to a huge company, a store chain. I won't call the name of the company for privacy, but it would have presented us with the opportunity to market and sell our products quite literally nationwide and virtually overnight. A tremendous opportunity. And one of our guys jumped on a plane and flew out to the company headquarters and had the conversation and gave the presentation, and we got a flat no. This was after preliminary conversations with them where they were seemed to be very interested in taking a look at working with us and featuring our product on their website, and then having some of our physical products available for sale in inventory in their many stores. And so we took the flyer and literally took the flyer and got on the plane. Our guy got on the plane and went out to meet with them, and nope, no sale, no product in the store, no representation on their website. Now, I am of the belief that our perspective on events like that is what makes all the difference to our future success. A few years ago, I might have been devastated, depressed, in a funk for days. I might have been, why didn't they realize? Don't they know how good we are? Oh, screw those guys. Blah, blah, blah. And I might have, been thrown off our goals for some time after a disappointment. Now, another sense of perspective. This deal, had it come through, had the potential to be literally a multi-million-dollar opportunity for us. So this is the kind of scale that we're talking about on what this potential deal could have been. And we didn't get the deal. Now, as I said, sense of perspective. How do I mean? On a couple of different levels. Number one, if you know anything about, as an analogy, if you know anything about mixed martial arts, if you follow UFC fighting at all, there's a fighter, a former UFC fighter, great champion by the name of Conor McGregor. Some of our friends over in the kingdom might recognize that name. A real Irish brawler, this guy, and great champion. And he said something one time in an interview, in a post-fight interview. This was a fight that he had actually lost, so it was not a victory dance. The interviewer was saying, "Well, how are you feeling? After this loss? What kind of lessons you learned?" And Conor cut him off. He said, "No, you don't understand. Understand? We never lose." He's talking about he and his team. We never lose. We either win or we learn. Huh. Okay, now that's an interesting perspective, because it opens up the possibility that there really is no such thing as defeat as long as we learn from the experience and use those learnings to move on to greater heights of success, to move on, to go, as they say, as our British friends say, to go from strength to strength, to move on in a positive way. It's kind of like, I was just thinking, it's only a loss if we quit. It's only a defeat if we quit. So there's that perspective. We win or we learn. I know what it was from Top Gun. You've heard me say this about 14 billion times. But then again, most of the wise and pithy sounding things that I have to say either came from a book, a movie, or a Star Trek episode, but we all know this. And from Top Gun, one of the commanding officers says to our Maverick, a good pilot is compelled to evaluate what's happened in the case of a disaster or an accident, if something happens, a loss of life. A good pilot is compelled to evaluate what happened so he can apply what he's learned. So, my partners and I had a partnership conference call this morning, and we went over the event, the conversation, the presentation, the answers, and the potential client. They were kind enough to share their thought process with us as to why they decided not to go with our brand and so forth. So we learned a great deal about more targeted marketing, how to more effectively focus our offer into the perspective of the potential client. Very, very important information. Knowing a great deal more about how your potential client thinks and what your potential customer is looking for can very often mean the difference between closing the deal and not, between closing the sale and not. So there's that perspective. And the one that has always appealed to me, most recently has appealed to me, is the perspective presented by Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz in one of my favorite sales books of all time, Go for No. Have you read this book? Have you read it? Oh my goodness, you got to read this book. Go for No, it's called. Here's the premise of the book. Yes, we all want wins. We all want sales. We all want to close that deal and collect the commission and pat ourselves on the back. And of course, that's a laudable goal. But what if, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be told yes. Everyone wants to close the sale, right? What if we learned, as people in sales, and by the way, we're all in sales. I don't care what you do for a living. You're in sales. But that's a whole other conversation. What if we learned not to just not to go for yes? What if we learned to go for no in our presentations, in our sales overviews? What if we learned to look for opportunities to be told no? You know, you hear the saying, every no leads you to a yes, right? Well, that's not strictly true. Every no has the equal potential to lead you to another no. And 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 are you getting sick and tired of hearing me say another no already? Another no. And another no. And another no. And another. You see what I'm saying? A no is not inevitably going to lead to a yes. It could very well lead to a yes. But what if we learn to love? Yes, I said it. What if we learn to love the process of going for the no? Well, a couple of things happen. Number one, we do that enough times, we no longer get depressed when we hear the word no. Because so what? Somebody told me no. So what? Somebody else is going to tell me no later. And somebody else is going to tell me no after that. And sooner or later, going to get a yes. Here's how this applies in a sales type scenario. One of the business groups, one of the business ventures that I work with, publishes and shares their sales statistics to the extent that I know that on average, in order to enroll one new customer for this business, for this offer, in order to enroll one new customer, I need to make on average 4 presentations, 4 overviews. Now stick with me, those of you who are mathematically inclined. 4 presentations for 1 sale. You with me so far? Now, for every presentation, I generally need to make about 5 prospecting calls. 5 approaches, if you like. So, 5 approaches, 1 appointment for a presentation, assuming the person actually shows up for the presentation, right? But we'll assume that. So 5 presentations, 5 prospecting calls, 5 approaches, 1 presentation. 4 presentations, 1 sale. Now, for those of you mathematically inclined, how many prospecting calls would I need to make on average in order to close 1 sale? Class, what do you say? Again, one sale takes 4 presentations. Each presentation takes 5 approaches, 5 prospecting calls, 5 times 4 into 1. So I'm going to be making about 20 calls in order to close one sale. You with me so far? Now, what if, 2 scenarios. What if I start to get discouraged and upset after the 3rd or 4th no? Oh, man, this isn't working for me. Maybe I should change my approach. Maybe I should, alter. Maybe I should tweak my pitch. Maybe I should tweak what I'm saying and say it with a little more emphasis on this word, or, speed it up a little here, slow it down a little bit over there, change up my timing and, Okay. What if you just went ahead and made the 20 calls? You know that on average, 20 calls is going to get you a sale. So why are you worried about this no, or that no, or the other no back over there? Just make the calls. Knowing full well that on average, by the time you get to the 20th call, you'll have made a sale. Right? So you have that perspective of confidence. And here's the other perspective. What if your goal is not the one sale, but the 19 no's? What? What are you talking about, Glenn? Well, here's what I mean. Do you ever see the movie, Will Smith film called The Pursuit of Happiness? You ever seen it? It's interesting. It's based on the real life story, the autobiography of a man named Chris Gardner, who came up through very tough circumstances, but he was always very ambitious, very hardworking, served honorably in the Navy, and then went into a career in sales. Struggled mightily throughout his career and his life. I won't give away the details, but what he had the opportunity, Chris Gardner did, to get into a training program, an internship program, which would have made, for a wonderful opportunity for him to land a great job, a great sales career with a great company. But he had to make calls, prospecting calls, cold calling, 8-10 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, cold calling, sometimes hundreds of calls a day. Now, what if Chris Gardner had gotten discouraged after the first 10, after the first 20 calls? Well, before I tell you, let me tell you that he got the job. It's not giving anything away to tell you this. He got the job, got the career, and now Chris Gardner, the real life man, is a multimillionaire 100 times over and a great philanthropist and contributor to society. But what if he had gotten discouraged after the 17th call? What if he'd gotten discouraged after the 158th call and given up and quit? What a difference he would have not made in the world. My point is this. Let's go back to those figures that we just did. 5 approaches, 1 appointment. 4 appointments, 1 sale. Suppose you're really hot this week. Suppose you're really going for it. Now, let's say your goal is 3 sales a week, right? 3 sales a week. So doing the math, 20 calls, 1 sale, 3. Okay, you need to make 60 calls this week, right? Suppose your Monday is really hot and you score, baby, you are hitting it. You are connecting with your prospects. You're having great conversations, and you close 3 sales right up front Monday morning. Woohoo! Yes, sir, Bob. Hit my goal for the week. Fantastic. And now you're taking it easy the rest of the week. You're relaxing, do a little paperwork. No, listen, you're not slacking off. You're taking care of your paperwork. You're taking care of your administrative things around the office or on the job. You're, following up with your current customers, and, you're doing good work. You're doing legitimate work. The thing is, you kind of slow down on the calls, on the prospecting calls. Now, you've hit your goal, you've hit your yes goal for the week. Great. But what if, instead of slacking off after the 3 quick sales and saying, hey, I hit my yes goal for the week, got my 3 yeses. What if you said, okay, That's really great. Got 3 sales, but it only took 6 calls to get those 3 sales, which means I only got 3 no's so far this week. Man, I better get a move on and go get my other 56 no's, because my goal is 59 no's for the week, right? Or 57 no's for the week. 3 sales, right? 60 calls minus the 3 sales, 57. I need 57 no's. I've only gotten 3 no's so far. Man, I need to hustle up and go get my other 54 no's. Listen, you're hot. You're smoking. You're crushing them on the presentations. You are smooth. Your delivery is perfect. You are connecting with your customers. I mean, after all, you nailed those 3 sales right up front on Monday morning. Can you imagine how many more sales you might close as you continue to go for your other 54 no's? Is you picking up what I'm putting down, my friends? So, if we have the courage, if we can discipline our minds, if we can conquer our fear of rejection enough to make no's our goal instead of yeses, who knows what we might achieve. You know, I know of insurance companies and other sales organizations that give awards. They give sales awards. They have some really interesting sales awards. Yes, they give awards for the most sales, for the highest revenue generated, for so on and so forth. Some of these companies also give awards for the greatest number of no's documented during a given sales period. Number of no's during a quarter. And everybody cheers. Hey, they get a trophy just as big as the guys who actually close this, the people who actually close the sales. You know what's interesting? You know what's really interesting? Most of the time, at companies that do this, the people who get the awards for the most no's tend to also be the people who get the awards for the most yeses. Isn't this something? So the idea is keep going for your no's. And this is exactly what has happened with us in the company here. We got a huge multi-million-dollar no this week. Although it wasn't really a multi-million-dollar no. Why? Because we hadn't made any money with this company. We hadn't made any sales to them. So it's not like we had millions of dollars in our bank account and had to give it back. We gave the presentation, we presented our product and our offer the best way we knew how, and they said no. You know, the guy who went out and made the trip, you know what he said to us on the call this morning? He said, guys, I got to tell you, this has lit a fire under me. I'm going for this company now. I'm going after that company. Hey, Glenn, can you reach out to your contact in such and such company? Hey, Paul, you know that guy over there at so-and-so, don't you? Yeah, listen, we're going for everybody now. And you know what? It was kind of, for me, it was kind of a reminder to me that there's almost no such thing as a shortcut. There's almost no such thing as the big break that's going to set us up for life. Very, very rarely does that happen. It was a reminder to me that we're going to earn every dime of the millions that we're going to make. Now, we would do that with a big deal in place. This way, we'll do it by a different route. And it's going to be so bloody satisfying when it happens. We're excited already. It's fantastic. So, there you go. Here's my thoughts. So, as I was saying at the beginning, you go for no. You make a big offer. You take the big risk. You go for the no's. Look for opportunities to get told no. Funny thing about the potential multi-million-dollar no that we got today or yesterday, we went after it, we got told no, got rejected, and we didn't even die. How about that? So the whole point, go for it. What do you got to lose? And if you're looking to enroll 2 new customers, figure out how many presentations you need to give to get there. Figure out how many prospecting calls you need to book one presentation, and go for the number of no's that would be left over after each time you close a sale. That way you never slow down until you hit your no goal. Does that make sense? Are you with me? So go for the no goal and watch what happens. Holy moly. This is good stuff. I'm fired up. What are your thoughts? What have you experienced this before, like to have a setback or somebody reject your offer, or not enroll to work with you, or somebody to not purchase your product? How did it feel? Have you ever had this experience of, you know what, moving on? Yeah, that person told me no. So what? Moving on. Onward and upward. And by the way, what did I learn from that no? Why didn't I get... So that was one of the questions we made on the call this morning. Was, okay, gentlemen, okay, gents, we presented to this big company, we got a big no. What did we learn? And we came up with some really good ideas, as I shared before. Some really interesting learnings, which we will take into the next presentation, which I'm confident we will close the sale. Yes. Lynn, what's happening?
Okay, at the beginning when you were talking about getting a lot of no's, I thought that the place you would be going was like in a presentation, kind of almost like a debate, so that you'd close off all the arguments. So that's a no, and that's a no, and that's a no, and so that eventually the only thing that's left at the end of the discussion would be a yes. But the strategy was a different one, but that was kind of what came up. That's where I thought you were going.
Okay. Well, if you read the book, and that's a really interesting insight, no's within the conversation that can lead to a yes. You got to read this book. I don't want to give it away, but Richard Fenton tells a really interesting story about one of his first sales jobs. He was working in a men's clothing shop, and he learned a powerful lesson about no's within the conversation, no's within a sales presentation. So I shall leave you to read the book. You got to read this book, my friends. In my opinion, you've got to read this book. It will change. If you read this book with an open mind and put into practice what the book teaches, I'm confident that it will change your perspective on the word no. It will change your perspective on rejection.
How about that? It works.
Lindsay agrees with me.
Yes.
How about that?
I got that book probably over a year ago, and I still work with the principles that it uses, and no is okay. Next, cool.
Yes.
You're not gonna. I'm not gonna upset when somebody says no. Things aren't for everyone. That doesn't mean you take it personal.
That's a really interesting perspective, Lindsay. Nothing is for everyone. No opportunity, no product is for everyone.
Right.
And the thing of it is, there's a really, really good, really excellent feature about rejection, about the word no. It can save you a world of time.
Yes.
A world of potentially wasted time running around trying to chase somebody to convince them that it'd be a good idea to buy your product. A friend of mine used to say, ultimately people will do exactly what they want to do. And ultimately people will not do exactly what they don't want to do. And no power on heaven and earth, not even your sales pitch, is going to change that.
It's usually for the best, too.
Yes, I cannot tell you how many times I've been told no by a person that I really wanted to close a sale with or work with in a business deal, and then come to find out later, oh my God, I am so glad. I am so glad that told me no.
Yep.
Because if he'd said yes, I'd have had to work with him.
Dealing with it.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Yes. No, it's an enormous time saver. I just thought of this. Let me give you another perspective. Let me give you another perspective on the word no. And this is an interesting one. And this all one also comes out of the book, Go for No. Think about what you do. Think about your product, your offer, your business opportunity, whatever it might be. What is your average commission per sale? Now, there's different prices, different levels of packages, different price products or whatever. But if you take an average, what is your average price? What is your average commission per sale in your business? Well, let's take an example. If your average commission is, I don't know, let's say $500 as an example. Just picking a number out of the air. Your average commission for one sale is $500. Okay? In order to close that one sale, you need to make 4 presentations, right? So break that down. $500 divided by 4 presentations to get there. How much is each of these presentations worth to you? Divide 500 by 4, you come up with $125 per presentation. Now, in order to get one presentation, you need to make 5 approaches, 5 phone calls, right? On average. Now, we already know that each presentation is worth $125 to you, whether you close the sale or not, because you know the value of your average sale, right? One presentation is worth $125 to you. 5 approach calls gets you that one presentation. What's each one of these approach calls worth to you? So when somebody tells you no, I'm not interested in sitting down to talk with you. No, I'm not interested in looking at what you have to offer. Great, thanks a lot for the $25. What? You did the math with me, right? Each sale's $500. 4 presentations, $125 a piece, whether they say yes or no. For each presentation, you got to make 5 calls, $125 here, 5 calls to get there. Every single prospecting call you make is worth $25 to you, whether the person sits down with you or not. So, taken from that point of view, every prospecting call is making you money no matter what the prospect says, isn't it? Go back and take a look at your average sale, at your average commission per sale, and figure out what each prospecting call is worth to you, whether the prospect says yes or no. And take that number, write it on a Post-it, and stick it on the corner of your computer. Or stick it up on the wall or some place visible where you do your work. I guarantee you, I'll say I'm confident it will alter your perspective on the word no. Boy, there's a whole lot more we could say about this, but I got to go. I've got an appointment in a couple of minutes. My friends, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. Go get the book, will you? Will you make a pledge? Will you go get the book and read it? Go for no. And you might even be able to take another no and you won't even die. Keep on going. Keep moving forward. We either win or we learn, and we keep moving forward. Thanks so much, my friends. Have a fantastic day. There's my friend Lindsay. Good to see you all.
I will reread the book to you.
Excellent. Read it. Reread it. There you go. Read, review, re-highlight, re-underline. Have a great day, my friends. Bye for now.